friends, welcome back to the Elevated Dose. This is a bonus episode, and before I say anything else, I want to make something really clear. This is not about picking a trendy word for the year. This is not about becoming a different person. And this is not about romanticizing discipline or control. This is about how you orient your life, because whether you consciously choose it or not, everyone lives by a standard. Everyone has a word, a value, a default setting that quietly shapes how they make decisions, spend energy, tolerate chaos, and recover from stress. Most people just never name it. So when I talk about building an elevated life, I'm not suggesting that elevated is the right word for everyone. It's my word. It's the language that finally helped me articulate what I was craving after years of burnout, chronic illness, medical trauma, and white-knuckling my way through life. But the deeper work isn't the word itself. It's what the word does. And that's what I want to talk about today. Here's something I've noticed over and over again. Most people don't feel exhausted because they're doing too much. They feel exhausted because nothing they're doing is anchored. They wake up and respond. They scroll and absorb. They make decisions reactively. They push through because that's what's expected. And then we wonder why we feel scattered, unmotivated, or quietly resentful of our own lives. What's missing isn't discipline, it's orientation. When you don't have a clear internal standard, every decision costs more energy. Should I say yes or no? Should I push or rest? Should I spend or save? Should I post or disappear? Without a grounding principle, everything feels equally urgent. And when everything is urgent, our nervous systems never settle. That's why so many of us bounce from reset to reset. We're trying to fix behavior without ever defining the life we're trying to live inside. We've been taught that goals are the answer. Set the goal, chase the outcome, motivate yourself harder. But goals are transactional. They're temporary. They end. And for a lot of us, especially people living with chronic conditions, variable energy, or long-term stress, goals actually make things worse. Goals assume stable capacity, predictable energy, and cooperative circumstances. If those things aren't true, goals become a source of shame. We miss them and assume we're broken. We hit them and feel relief instead of peace. We abandon them and blame ourselves. What goals don't do is tell us how we want to live. They tell you where you want to arrive, but not how you want to feel along the way. That's where a grounding word or standard comes in. When I say my word is elevated, I'm not talking about aesthetics or achievement. I'm talking about a filter. A word like elevated, grounded, steady, spacious, intentional, regulated, or sustainable becomes a decision-making lens. It answers questions before you have to overthink them. Is this elevated for how I want to live? Does this support steadiness or undermine it? Does this align with the life I'm building or pull me away from it? When your life is anchored to a word or standard, you stop negotiating with yourself constantly. You don't need motivation, you have orientation. That's the difference. For me, elevated isn't about doing more. It's about refusing to live in constant chaos. After years of pushing, recovering, flaring, burning out, and repeating the cycle, I realized something uncomfortable. I had been building a life that only worked when I felt great. Perfect energy, perfect focus, perfect health. But real life doesn't look like that. So elevated became my word because it meant fewer decisions, not more options. Systems that reduce stress instead of adding pressure. Nourishment instead of restriction. Rest before collapse. Work that fits my energy instead of demanding I override it. Elevation isn't one change. It's how every part of my life works together. That sentence matters because it reframes everything. You can't elevate one area while ignoring the others. Eventually, something pays the price. This is where people get stuck. We try to elevate health but keep work chaotic. We try to elevate productivity but ignore rest. We try to elevate finances while emotionally spending to cope with stress. And then we assume the problem is willpower. It's not. Life is a system. If work is constant urgency, our nervous system pays. If your nervous system is fried, health routines don't stick. If health is unstable, finances feel harder to manage. If money feels tight, rest feels irresponsible. Elevation is integration. It's asking, What does this decision cost across my whole life, not just in one category? That's why surface level changes don't last. They don't address the system. So let's talk about how you might choose your word. Not aspirational, not aesthetic, not who you wish you were, but what you actually need. Here are a few grounding questions. What feels most missing right now? What do you crave when you imagine relief? What word represents safety in your body? Some people don't need elevated. They need steady or gentle or regulated or spacious or supported. Your word should feel like permission, not pressure. If the word makes you feel like you have to perform, it's not the right one. A good word reduces decision fatigue, clarifies boundaries, supports recovery, aligns with your real capacity. It should feel grounded when you say it out loud. Choosing a word isn't the work. Living by it is. Your word becomes real when it shows up in small decisions. How you schedule your day, how you eat on busy weeks, how you rest when no one is watching, how you decide what to say yes or no to. An elevated life isn't louder or harder, it's more intentional. It's quieter, calmer, and it makes everything work better together. That's not motivational language, that's lived experience. This matters because life doesn't get simpler. Bodies change, responsibilities grow, and energy fluctuates. If your life only works when conditions are perfect, it will eventually fail you. But if your life is built around a grounding standard, it can adapt. That's the real value of an elevated life, or a steady life, or a supported life. It's resilience without rigidity. This episode isn't about convincing you to choose my word. It's about inviting you to choose yours. Something that grounds you, something that guides you, something that helps your life feel intentional instead of reactive. Every bonus episode this month will explore what it looks like to live from that place in one area of life. Not perfectly, not aggressively, but consistently. And I'll leave you with this. An elevated life isn't louder or harder. It's more intentional and it makes everything work better together. That's the work.